This is exactly the kind of conversation that once again reminds me that that guy in Pennsylvania, when I crashed their EAA barbecue, and he's at the grill, and he said to me, "Yeah, you can build it. It's adult Legos." Full of crap, man. It's way harder than Legos, even adult
It is
Legos.
way harder than Legos.
Yeah.
But it is fun.
But God bless him. He got me to, I immediately went back to my hotel and ordered the empennage kit and started buying a bunch of tools. So
There you go.
Welcome back to We Are Not Experts, the show where 3 weeks off somehow results in more tool purchases than actual progress. Tonight, one host returns from Edwards Air Force Base with stories he can't photograph, a voice he can't quite control, and a freshly laser-engraved access panel. While both builders discover that Delrin is harder to center than it looks, there are flaps installed, ailerons under suspicion, and a lathe hovering dangerously close to someone's Harbor Freight shopping cart. 2 RV8s, 2 workshops, 0 impulse control. Episode 17 starts now.
but because we are not experts, in fact, we're kind of morons when it comes to making a podcast. We don't know how to let you hear the music that we hear, or I can't let Tim hear the music that I hear when we go. So
But I can
there you
pretend.
go. Yeah, welcome back. This is episode 17 of We Are Not Experts in Airplane Building podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Tim.
And today is Monday, February the 23rd, 2026, I believe. It's been like 22 days since our last recording. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, actually it does.
Yeah. So, episode 17 of what I'm sure will be more than 17 episodes of We Are Not Experts, the airplane building podcast. It has been... I'm surprised that it's been 3 weeks, to be honest. That went by quickly for me. How about you?
Went by quickly for me, but not because I got airplane progress done. In fact, I've hardly done anything. I think you've been way busier on the airplane than I have.
Well, okay. I may have been way busier, but I dare say we probably had the same amount of progress in that period of time. It just some of the stuff has been spinning my wheels. I made one video, I think, where I went ahead and I mounted up the other flap, the infamous left flap, and then kind of all the cleaning around kind of stuff that you have to do to make sure or to get that ready for finishing being done. But then more recently, it's been a lot of fooling around, a lot of taking the ailerons on or off and back on again and off and back on again. So I'm getting pretty good at managing the tricky parts of getting that hardware stack in place. I might just make a video about that. How can you put that bolt in with a stack of 5 different washers without everything falling all over the floor? But yeah, that's about it. We'll get a little bit more into it. So tell me, where have you been over the past 3 weeks?
Well, the only place I physically went to is Edwards Air Force Base in California. I spent a week out there, did some upgrades for them, got to see some cool stuff, got to see some secret squirrel stuff, physically saw the B-21 actually airborne for the first time. That was cool. No photographic evidence. That would be frowned upon, but it was cool to see.
Well, I don't believe you then.
Yeah, it didn't happen. No pictures, didn't happen. So that was all good. And then I came back from that and had a very busy just work week here, followed by a weekend of being completely sick, which is why my voice probably still sounds a little bit off right now.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I go to New Orleans for a day or two. And then I
Really?
come back and then hopefully airplane stuff.
Simple work stuff. Are you flying out in the morning or
Yeah.
you? Okay,
Yep.
good.
Flying in the morning, going on site as soon as we get there. We'll probably have it fixed in about 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
We'll spend the night and come back. Yep.
Yeah.
So
On
it
the
shouldn't be a
map-
big deal.
On the map, New Orleans doesn't look that very far, but that's a pretty long drive.
It is a long drive, but it's only like a 35, 40-minute flight.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
On
not
the
bad.
map, it looks like it's maybe 3 hours, but it's closer to 8 on the drive.
Yeah.
So-
It's a healthy drive. But I did get stuff done, and I've got some bonus stuff done just a little while ago.
Oh, really?
That I didn't didn't know I was going to do. It was something I've been thinking about for a while, and I learned a new trick. So,
Okay.
let's see if I might need my glasses to see this so I can hold it up right for you, but a new trick with Cerakoting and my other tools in the garage and whatnot.
Mhm.
Okay, so can you see that? There we go.
Well, now let me put my goggles on. Yes, I can see it.
Yep. So,
But without my glasses on, I can see it about as well as the people who are only listening.
yep, this is the backside of a Cerakoted access panel, one of the recent ones I made for the floor that's going to cover my antennas.
Yeah.
That is a grid to test power settings and feed ratios for the laser engraver, because I was curious if I could laser
Oh.
engrave Cerakote, and it turns out I
Obviously, you
can.
can. Yeah.
Yep, this is the back of the door. This piece I was thinking about redoing anyways, so,
Huh?
but I laser engraved the
Oh,
doors.
transponder antenna, ADS-B antenna.
There you go. So,
So laser engraving is very cool.
laser engraving is a thing for Cerakoting. So those literally just got done like an hour ago.
Yeah.
I had them laying around, and I used the monitor that you gave me, hooked it up to the computer out there, got the laser fired up for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
I was like, let's see if we can do this. This is the only pieces I had Cerakoted that I could throw in there. I'm still limited. I don't have a huge laser engraver that I can Cerakote big pieces in. Like my instrument panel's not going to fit in there. Even the smaller side pieces won't fit.
Mm-hmm.
But I could do smaller panels, and I could do stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
my access panels just got fancier.
Oh, yeah. That's going to look super cool on the access panels on the outside of your airplane.
Yeah, there you go. I can put all kinds of stuff on it if I want to.
That's right.
If I was
Yeah.
gonna Cerakote it, but
That's really
like-
cool. It's fun getting to all the little opportunities that we have to make modifications, but to either use the cool little tools that we have around home that you don't necessarily think of first when it comes to building an airplane, or to buy tools that you don't necessarily think of first and get
we're
to
both
use them.
struggling with one of those right now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of which one of us buys it first.
I know. Well, okay. So what Tim is alluding to is do we or don't we, or do I or don't I, do you or don't you buy a lathe for turning parts and making little custom things and then finding other reasons to use it in the future? So a lathe is not, like a mini lathe is not an inexpensive thing, especially if you're only going to make one part with it. So yeah, there's been some interesting developments in the world of modifications for the aileron stops. And if you do, Tim, if you do decide to buy a lathe, I've been fairly successful now. I think since the time I first got the urge to buy a lathe, I have been in and out of Harbor Freight probably 6 times and successfully not purchased one. But we'll talk a little bit more about it later. I'm just going to let you know that that I got today. I received some more Delrin, not Delrin, but Palm C, same thing, in 2 different diameters.
You have the material.
I
Just not
do.
the means yet.
I do. So I got a, well, I won't spoil it. Maybe we should let our correspondents
Yeah, that way we
chime
can
in.
talk about some of this other stuff. Let everybody
Yeah,
know what's
exactly.
going on.
So let's see. You know what? You did not have Howard.
Did not. I made a request, and they finally sent me somebody that was not Howard. She's a little posh,
A little
but-
posh. Yeah.
little posh, but
So
Not
she's not
Howard
from the
this time.
neighborhood. Is what you're trying to say.
definitely not from the neighborhood. I'm surprised she even found her way out here.
Yeah. I mean, posh. Do people in Cleveland, Texas even know how to spell posh?
No, not without spice at the end of it.
Let's hear what is this Christina? Is that her name?
I think so, yes.
All right, let's see what Christina has to say.
Cleveland Skunk Works, Cleveland, Texas. After a period of travel-related inactivity, work resumed briefly on the RV-8 project with a focus below the floorboards. New conduit runs have been installed beneath the fuselage floor, designed to allow future wire pulls and replacements without invasive surgery. The move suggests a continued preference for long-term serviceability over short-term closure. The installation, however, prompted an unplanned design exercise. Off-the-shelf mounting solutions proved insufficient, leading to the development of custom conduit clips, both 90-degree variants and longeron supports. These were modeled in CAD produced via 3D printing and have since migrated from prototype to product line, now available through the T-Flight store. What began as a wiring accommodation has become a modest manufacturing expansion. Ambitions for broader progress were overtaken by professional obligations and, briefly, biology. The aircraft remains structurally unchanged from last report, though now quietly more prepared for its eventual electrical nervous system. In a project measured in years, even a week of conduit can represent momentum, particularly when it leaves options open for the future. Reporting from the Cleveland Skunk Works, this is Christina with the Experimental News Desk. This is the end, for now.
Christina had a lot to say. I mean, for what
She
you
did.
described as very little progress, she was able to flesh out a pretty thorough story there,
Yeah.
and a little bit of editorializing, I would say. A little bit of
I think it
what
took
does this
her
all
longer to
mean?
say it than it took me to do it, but
Yeah, I think so. I had, okay, and there was, I don't know if it's intentional, but there's a little bit of a pun in there about your access panels and opting for long-term solutions rather than short-term closure
yeah.
with your access panels. I had some thoughts on your clips, specifically the longeron ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I was tempted
I-
yesterday to sit down with Fusion because I have an idea in my head
Have I shown you the newest version yet?
I haven't seen the newest one.
Oh, hang on. Pardon me while I step away for a second.
Okay. For those of
The
you in
latest
the
iteration.
listening world. All right. What do we got?
So now it is printable on a flat plane. You have the two tabs
Uh,
that stick out one side. So this will go onto an L bracket, longeron, whatever, and hold the clip stringer
yeah.
in place. So that was the big one, was just making the tabs stick off both sides so this thing could lay flat on a print bed and print
Okay. Yeah.
cleanly. Because before I had one on this side and one on that side, and then you had to have supports in it.
Yeah.
It came out ugly and it wasn't as strong. These I think are going to be the final one. I haven't put these on the store yet. I'm not going to until I put that length in the plane and I actually get to try it and make sure that they're strong and secure. But soon.
That looks
those
like
ones are
it'll work
coming.
pretty well. Yeah.
I think so.
So the idea that was in my head was two attach points, but both on the same side of the longeron. So maybe.
Oh, yeah. Just
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then, but the problem, you still have the same problem with the printing, which is if you make it a single piece, then the hoop, the layer lines are not right. But if you make it a two piece with a snap fit, so you can just print them, print one flat, print the other one, print the hoop flat,
then get the
layer
lines
lines
the
all
way
the
you
right
want 'em.
direction, and just make a snap fit, pop it in, and then just put 2 drops of super glue in there, and it's permanent.
That's not a bad idea. The layer lines on this one obviously wrap around this way and go up, which gives you the most strength.
Yeah.
For those that don't understand, when you're 3D printing, you're doing a continuous loop of just melted plastic. So it's only going to go in one way. And you can imagine it's weakest where it's stacked on top of each other. So if you put a bending moment against the layer lines, it has the biggest likelihood of snapping and coming apart on you. So you want to work with the lines as best you can to get extra strength. So
Yeah. And to go even
yeah.
further back for the people who may not understand, I don't know if we've talked about it recently or if it's been a while, but if you don't follow Tim's channel, or if you haven't followed it kind of over the past year and a half, Tim wanted to have there's got to be a better way, a better solution for running the wiring through his wings using conduit rather than just running them through the supplied plastic bushings that Vans gives you. So conduit seems a good way to run it through, but then what's a good way to secure the conduit? And so he designed some 3D printed clips that can rivet to the ribs and keep everything nice and tidy. But now that he's working in the fuselage, he realizes that the clips that he made for the wings aren't ideal for every application. So he's,
different directions.
yep, back at it. Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's other options out there, but they're infinitely more expensive.
Yeah.
I found one from Amphenol when I first started. I thought it was going to be a great solution. I bought one from, I think it was DigiKey. It's a great conduit clamp. It's beautiful. It's made of good material. It clamps on nicely. It doesn't have a way to rivet it, but it's a good product. It's $15 a piece. I bought it thinking it was a bag of however many, and I got one for $15 plus shipping. I was like, that's never going to work because, I mean, there's like maybe 50 of these in the wing.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, then you know who their
So-
number one customer is.
U.S. government.
Government. That's government
Absolutely.
contract. Yeah, they don't
That's
they don't
right.
have to think, they don't
Yeah,
have
they
to
don't care
worry
about
about lowering their prices for the average consumer. They can sell
Just
it.
spend it.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
So
what do we
this
got there?
is, yeah.
Delrin.
So
or-
3/4 inch and 1 inch, which looks massive. It doesn't look like it's a difference of a quarter inch, but it is.
It does look way bigger.
I know. When I got it, I'm like, dang, that really seems like it's 3 times the size. And I measured it. I'm like, yeah, that's a big difference. So, which also makes me think, well, we'll get into that topic. I'll go ahead and see, I'll give you guys a listen to, who was it? Marviva? Something. I had some, yeah,
Marviva.
Marviva. I don't know. She's got a funny accent, but anyways, here's the report that was filed by the good folks over at the Experimental News Desk for my neck of the woods.
Cut and shoot Texas. Since our last report on February 1st, officials at the Gilbertson Aerofactory confirmed that the left flap has now been successfully mounted, joining the right in what sources describe as symmetrical progress. With both flaps installed, attention shifted to the aileron bell cranks, where stiffness in the factory bushing arrangement prompted further investigation. According to build logs, polishing and refinement efforts were attempted but ultimately deemed unlikely to produce long-term satisfaction. In a move described as inevitable, a set of ball-bearing aileron brackets from Sky Designs has been ordered, with arrival expected in the coming weeks. Work then transitioned to custom aileron stops inspired by parallel research at the Cleveland Skunk Works. Initial Delrin-based prototypes, however, failed to achieve the desired deflection limits. Subsequent inter-facility discussion revealed similar findings in Cleveland, suggesting the situation is ongoing. For now, flap installation is complete, aileron improvements are pending upgraded hardware, and wingtip work awaits resolution of what officials are calling a small but persistent mystery. Reporting from the Gilbertson Aerofactory, this is the Experimental News Desk. The end for now.
So Maviva, I don't know. She's obviously she's not from cut and shoot. I think that she's from just over on the other side of the 45.
Possibly.
Yeah, she's got just a slightly different. I can't put my finger on it, but her speech is a little funny.
I'm sure she thinks
So yeah,
the same
a
thing
lot of
yours.
what's that?
She thinks the same thing about yours.
Yeah, exactly. So to fill in the members of our audience here on what we're talking about, for the ailerons, you can't just have them flapping around. They have to have some limits in how far that they move, other than just the mechanical limits of the aileron push tubes banging up against the side of something. And so the way that Vans describes it in the plans is using a piece of angle aluminum that mounts to the aileron bracket, and it will limit the travel of the aileron. You ultimately determine what it is. They kind of give you a range, like maximum up deflection between, I want to say, like 27 and 32 or 35 degrees, something like that. It's actually pretty generous, the minimum and maximum for that. So one thing that people have done, Tim being one of them, and the people that Tim saw do it being others, somebody somewhere along the way discovered that if you created a sort of sleeve that will fit over a spacer that you created, in the hardware stack where the aileron push tube mounts to the aileron, that sleeve would itself make contact with the aileron bracket, in a manner that would have the same effect as the aileron stop that you're going to make, but a more elegant solution, and it would still meet the geometry. It would still fit within the parameters. So that's what Tim did. That's what I decided to do. And when I had my first go at it with some leftover Delrin that you gave me like a year ago, I found out that my the version that I made, which is very similar to the version that you made, doesn't even come close to making contact with the aileron bracket. Like, it's off by a significant amount, probably more than 1/4 of an inch. Although it's very hard to see.
It's
But
very
yeah,
hard to see where it's at.
right. And so I discovered that if you don't do anything, what happens is the outboard aileron bracket is where the contact will be made. If the aileron's deflected all the way up, it'll kind of fold over on that bracket, and a bolt head that holds the bracket to the aileron will make contact with the wing-mounted bracket, which is undesirable. So now, a development, Tim, is that yesterday I went back out and I fully mounted the aileron. So when I had initially put it together and mounted the aileron tube with the Delrin, we'll just call it a Delrin spacer. It's not a spacer, but we'll call it that, so we have a name to attach to it. When I initially did it and I told you that it wasn't making contact, the two main connection points of the aileron I had just pinned. I didn't have the full stack of washers, spacers, blah, 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 all that stuff in there. I just had the pins in there holding it in place. So I went back out yesterday and I mounted them up fully, like with the correct hardware stack on both of those brackets, and the nuts run down, not torqued, but run down. And it significantly closed that initial gap. It's still not making contact, but it is, now it's maybe off by like a 1/16 or less, but it's still not making contact. So still that 1/2 inch diameter Delrin probably isn't sufficient to do it. That being said, when I drilled that, it is not easy to drill a perfectly concentric hole. And so it is the hole that I drilled through that piece of Delrin rod, and the length of this thing is not very long. By the time you're done, it's less than 3/8 of an inch long. If I rotated the Delrin, we'll call it the spacer, if I rotated it around where the fattest wall of it, because the wall is not even all the way around, the fattest side of it were to make, it might make contact just barely, but
Not keeping it off that bolt head on the other side, though. Not
exactly.
enough for that.
Right. It would be,
And-
at best, it would be a tie. Like, they
And we
would
know
both be
this thanks to you, because when you had this problem, Chris called me and I was convinced mine were good, and I went out and checked mine. At least I checked one wing. I haven't checked them both. I am making contact. I can put a strip of plastic in there and I can feel that it is making contact with the Delrin. But it is making firmer contact on the outboard hinge with the bolt head that Chris already mentioned. So mine also is not working as expected. So this is one of those cases where I thought I was good and I was actually not good. Thankfully, Chris caught it and had me go check how mine's working, and it turns out mine's wrong. So I need to remake mine as well, which is why now we are debating on which one of us is going to break down and buy a lathe first, because it'll make making a concentric hole in the middle of a round stock a whole lot easier than any fangled thing we came up to do with the drill press.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. But I've got like two. So for each of these, I bought 3/4 inch diameter, which is probably plenty for this purpose. That will probably get it done. Now looking, I didn't grab the 1/2 inch piece that I have out in the garage, but just looking at how visually how different 1 inch is to 3/4 inch, it's shocking to look at it. So 3/4 inch will probably be more than adequate to get it done. I don't think that it'll overdo it because I think that the deflection limitations are pretty generous, but we'll see. But I will go ahead and do it. But I have two of these. These are 12-inch length, and I have two of each, two of this, and then two of the 1-inch. So the 1-inch really
you
is
only need a piece that's maybe what,
three.
half-inch
Yeah,
wide?
like I could make 30 or
Yeah.
40 of these things with this. So which means I have plenty of material to get it wrong 39 times.
There you go.
Before I come up with a good one. But the 1-inch one, if you were curious, the diameter of the large washer, I like to call it a fender washer, but that AN 973 washer, that is 7/8 of an inch. So that's actually smaller in diameter than this big hunk of Delrin right here, which doesn't necessarily matter. Like if this was necessary to achieve that effect, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I do think it matters to make sure that that the length of this piece of Delrin that we're going to do is not the same or longer than the spacer that it fits over. Like I don't think you want it to be part of the clamping force. I think you want the clamping pieces to be the pieces, because if you make it too big, you could cause that big washer to dish and start to press against the bearing.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you don't want this to take up any of that clamping force or be a part of that structural load in any way, shape, or form. This has one purpose and one purpose only, and that's for something to stop up against it.
Yeah. So just, make it I'll make it like a 30-second shorter than the spacer itself. So we know there's adequate clearance. I do have a numbered or lettered bit set. And so the letter 0 bit is the perfect size where it's not quite a press fit, but it narrowly, like you can press it with your fingers, but it's not going to slide back and forth. It stays nice and snug.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do imagine you might want to make more of these anyways, because, I mean, depending on how hard you're banging against the stops for those snap rolls later in flight, you might wear some out on some condition inspections you need to do later on. So it'll be good to have some spares once you get it dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff, I did a little bit of research on it. You're the materials guy. I'm not. I didn't even know what Delrin, I was calling it Delran. I didn't know what it was. And so I told you that this is not Delrin. This is another acetate, whatever. It's the same stuff. It's just not the brand name.
Not the brand name of Delrin. Yeah.
Exactly. So I did research on it. They are the difference between this one and Delrin, for our purposes. Both of them are roughly 1,000 times stronger and more durable and longer lasting than we could get use out of. Like they'll hold up 20 years plus before there's any sort of deformity or whatever. The difference between the two, though, is that on Amazon, I could get this one overnight, and the Delrin, I would have to wait till next Monday.
There you go.
And
sometimes that makes the difference.
Yeah.
Chemically, if it's the same, it's all good. The same thing with those blocks that I shaved and trimmed down to make the pin retainer blocks on my wingtips. They're not actually Delrin. They're the same chemical equivalent that I could get off of Amazon, but same stuff. Yeah. And yeah, it's machinable. It cuts really nice. You can sand it. You can do a lot of other stuff to it, and it's durable and it's weather resistant. So it's a good material to choose for all of that. And I don't know all of this stuff. I just Google like nobody's business. So, yeah. So now I need to remake mine, and we got to figure out which one of us is going to bite the bullet and buy a lathe. It very well could end up being me, because I have poor impulse control when it comes to tools, because I will always justify the need to buy a new tool.
Well, if you do,
you have the material
of that
now.
1-inch stock, so you could make it the exact size that you wanted.
So, well, two other things that have happened recently. One you know of that has cost me money. Going down just a completely irrelevant rabbit hole, I was looking at my bill of materials list of things I need to buy for the plane, and I have this immaculate spreadsheet. I'm so proud of my spreadsheet. And I was looking at the engine tab for something, and I noticed on there that my throttle was there. I don't know why I put it on the engine tab. Technically it goes in the fuselage. Whatever. It's on the engine tab. And I need a very specific throttle with the setup I'm going with, because I need one that has a throttle lever and then the blue handle for adjusting the prop. I don't need a red handle, because I'm going to have electronic fuel injection in the plane. So I'll have a little
I thought you didn't
knob.
want that just because you're just always going to run full rich.
Yeah, if you run full rich, then you never need to worry about it, right? Just balls to the wall, literally. Um, so Flyboy Accessories has one just like that that's perfect for the RV8, but it's almost always sold out. I don't imagine they carry very many in stock. And I saw it on my list and I was like, oh, it's been out of stock the last few times I looked. Let me go look. And it was there. So I was like, well, I got money for it. I bought it. It's on its way. Today, another, I got to stop going down these rabbit holes. They're costing me money. I mean, it's all stuff I want to do at some point, anyways. But today, completely unrelated to the airplane, I had to get uh, a new grill for my car. And I got a cheap one, but it showed up in raw ABS. And I realized I needed to paint it. And I was looking up ways to scuff it up. Can I sandblast? Can I do this? And for the longest time, I'd been trying to think of this sandblasting process to use on the airplane engine to clean it up so I could refinish the paint on it without tearing it apart. And I had seen something, I just couldn't remember the name of it. And while searching today, I came across it again. It's vapor blasting. And I was like, that's what I was thinking of. So before I could forget again, I looked up a local vapor blaster, called them, told him what I wanted to do. And he said, oh, yeah, that's absolutely not a good idea. It'll get abrasive material in the engine and all this other stuff. Oh, I'm like, well, I'm glad I called you and you talked me out of it. And then he's like, but I have a friend who runs a business and he does dry ice blasting. And that is perfect for that. So he gave me his name and his contact info. He's over in Spring. I called that guy, talked back and forth, sent him some pictures. He sent me some pictures back. So now I guess Monday, if I'm around, I'm taking my engine to Spring to have it dry ice blasted to get every last bit of dirt, grease, loose paint, and everything else off of it so that I can repaint the outside of the engine without having to tear it down into its base components, which I don't want to do because it's a theoretically perfectly running engine. And the dry ice isn't supposed to harm the internals in any way, shape, or form.
Um,
So,
I'm gonna
so
say,
that's happening now.
yeah. Now that wasn't as bad as I expected because
No, I mean, coming
I
from
thought
me,
the
it could be anything.
punchline was going to be that you bought the tools to do your own
To
dry
do my
ice
own dry ice blasting, yeah.
blasting.
It's funny because I watched it. I'm like, man, I could see that being a good side hustle right there. Because if you can use, I actually saw people doing it on aircraft engines on the plane, like on the line, cleaning stuff off, and I'm like, there's a little side hustle right there. You can go up and down the line, just cleaning engine compartments.
I
We're
feel
not going to
like
rule that out.
right.
I need a retirement gig later on. So
Okay, you just made me think of something here. A topic that we are going to get into a little bit later, something that we've talked about a little bit recently. Um, you be in what here's what triggered my thought here was you're talking about a side hustle doing something that is a niche within a niche within a niche, which
why I never make money.
that's not even a side hustle. That's
No.
too niche to be a side hustle. Like
Yes,
you
it
would
is.
never make back your investment on just dry ice, let alone the equipment or whatever. But
Never.
yeah, but that made me think, we've been talking about like the podcast, YouTube channels, et cetera, things like that, and kind of watching the way our channels move and grow, and then other ones that we pay attention to as well, knowing that it is a severely limited audience who's ever going to pay attention to anything that we do. Like even uh, in the world of DIY, it is a very niche DIY. And then it's got to be people who are interested in it. But there are some good things going on out there. Some interesting things going on. I even since we last talked about it, I've had some new thoughts about like who's out there right now building airplanes and documenting it on YouTube. But let's talk about that a little bit. Just the the developments in the world of airplane development.
There's quite a few out there. The RV-15 builders are growing.
Yeah.
There's what, three of them I think out there now, or two of them still, at least
There's
on
two for
YouTube.
sure that I subscribe to, and I think that there are at least two more, and not even me searching for it, two more that have started to pop up, like brand new ones that have started to pop up in my YouTube feed, that I
French
haven't
Joe's
checked
is
out
the only
yet.
one that I've really watched. I haven't really gone. I've seen the other one. I haven't really gone and watched it much. Average Joe's is the one I think I've watched the most of as far as
Yeah.
RV-15 builders.
Yeah. The other one, those it's a husband and wife that I'm thinking of, and hmm, I can't remember the name of the channel, but it's literally something like RV-15 build or
Yeah,
something like that. But they already have a 14 or a 7 that they built, I think. One thing that
very
I did
nice.
think was interesting, I don't think you've watched theirs. They've got a pretty clean shop. What's interesting to me about their build right now on the RV-15 is they have an RV that they built and that they're flying. But if you look in their garage, where they're building right now, it's so kind of clean and tidy that it looks like they've never built an airplane before. Like
Mine looked
our
like that
like
before I started.
Right. Like my shop looked for the first like 10, 15, maybe 30 days of building. Like it just looked kind of empty with a couple airplane parts. And even they have a DRDT2 Dimpler that's like on a stand, and it looks like they haven't built a platform for it or anything like that. Like most people do, some kind of platform or whatever. So it all looks like new stuff, but I'm like, man, I bet that they wash their dishes while they're cooking. Like nothing gets stacked up. They're gonna fly through this build. They're not gonna have anything left over. They just like piled up. I bet that I bet that they get away without having like an epic corner of shame, like I've got in my garage, which is gonna
I've got
push
a,
me out of my garage.
I've got a decent shelf of shame going on right now, but it's part of building. Everybody messes stuff up at some point,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the
I have
shop cleanliness needs to. I need to
oh,
clean mine up. It's getting really bad, but if I'm not motivated to build a plane, I'm definitely not motivated to go clean the shop. So I need to I need to get over it, get over being sick, get out there and do all of it.
yeah. I
So
think as far as shop cleanliness goes, I am motivated enough to like anytime I go into a build session, I will clean up whatever needs to provide me enough space to do whatever I'm going to do.
yep.
That's good enough.
And I'm always amazed how quickly that space fills up within that build session too. Like
I
where
know.
did all this crap come from? This bench was clean when I started this.
I
Not
had a
so much anymore.
stupid thought over the weekend, which was I was thinking about building another workbench.
I'm
Like
the one
that's
that should
going
be
to
building
fix
another
anything.
workbench because I don't bother moving the two that I have that are on wheels. But now I don't
Like
have anywhere for it. I gotta clear some crap out and make room again.
it's gotten pretty crowded in there. And I know the reason I was thinking about building another workbench. When I say I want more surface area to work on, it's only because I have crap piled up on the other stuff rather than putting it away. Like one workbench right now is just covered with a whole bunch of my little bins of like hardware. That's all. Like I could put
Well,
all that away,
you
but
need
instead I
another
will.
workbench when you get the fuselage, or you need to come borrow that table that I've been using because that thing was about perfect for the first 3/4 of it until it was too long to fit on there anymore and it needed
Yeah.
to go on the rotisserie.
Yeah.
But you definitely need something
Yeah.
to put it on that's shorter. You don't want to try and do that up on top of a tall bench. That would just be
No.
miserable.
Yeah. As quickly as you can get into a, as quickly as you can get into a rotisserie, the better. But yeah, that's a trek. Although we talked about it before, that 40-inch work platform sure makes life a lot better, to get up to that level. And
Yes,
because
it
I
does.
don't have, and because my tables do move around, um, I can set them where it spans across two tables and there's a gap in the middle to stand up and work around.
That's true
Um,
too.
yeah. But you know, on that topic, is that Brandon's his name, right? The guy who does the dad jokes.
Yeah, Slink Air.
Slink Air, yeah. He's trucking along on his
Yeah.
fuselage, and he's going to
Yeah, he's
be,
onto the firewall now in the fuselage and
yeah,
he's catching up
yeah.
quick.
So big pieces are going to start coming together here pretty soon. I'm excited. I would love to get him on here as a guest.
Yeah, we
Maybe
we really need to
like a
start
regular
reaching out.
guest. Like if he has enough dad jokes that he can handle, one podcast a month and 4 videos a month. We don't want to spoil
Yeah.
his content, but that's a good example. Brandon's channel is a good example of what we were talking about: limited audience, niche, etc. Right? There are several of us, fewer than I thought, but several of us who are using YouTube to document our build. I I don't know. I mean, I started my YouTube channel before building an airplane was even a thought, because I was a YouTube consumer and I kind of liked it and I thought it would be fun, like a hobby to do. Um, and then knowing that we are required to document our build in some form or fashion, but it's not mandated how we do it. I'm like, this would be a cool way to do it. I became inspired to build an airplane, I would say, primarily watching Andrew Kilroy's channel, um, which it's kind of interesting to think about it. It's not an extremely detailed thing. His videos are all like 5 minutes of like super fast. Um, well, it's kind of what my channel's become, just super fast time lapse with some voiceover over the top of it. But you are going to max out most airplane build channels. If that's what they're about, they're going to max out. There's a limited audience for that. And Brandon said probably a month or so ago, he mentioned on one of his videos, hey, I'm getting really close to 1,000, make sure you guys like and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff. But I think that he's just hanging out in that same spot for weeks now at like 960, something like that. And then you have other channels like, I think I finally got the name of the channel down. It's, oh, Average Joe's Airspeed Acres. Is that what it is? Airspeed
Yeah.
Acres?
Yeah,
Yeah, building the RV-15.
the RV-15.
Yeah.
Popular subject.
Popular subject, right? So it's gonna get a lot of traction fast. There are a lot of people out there
Yep.
who are curious about the RV-15. They want to build one. They want to be able to afford to build one. They want to know what the process is like, and so that's gonna get some traction pretty quickly. So his channel blew up pretty quickly to the mid 500s, mid
I
600s.
think he's past me now. So I think
Yeah,
he's above me as far as like 600 and something.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a popular new plane, so it's definitely going to draw a crowd, and that's
yeah.
awesome. That's seriously
Um,
awesome.
it is. I mean, it's fun to watch. Just it's almost like a different company when you're looking at the RV-15 build versus what we do.
Yeah.
Um, and it reminds me, you probably experienced something similar in the Air Force, but like when we were coming in, we were boots, we were green, and guys would talk about the old core,
Yep.
and it was different. It was different before I came into the Marine Corps, but now it's been coming up here on Good Friday. It will be 30, 31 years since I separated from the Marine Corps, and everybody has their own version of the old core. Um,
Yeah.
they're like 4 generations of. My version of the old core is like 4 generations back. There are people much younger than me who have a legitimate version of the old core, but we now have a version of the old core version of vans, and we're nowhere near like the RV6, RV4 guys.
No, we're not drawing out our own rivet lines and making
No,
our own holes and all that. But
no,
yeah, it's the same. Every generation's going to look back and go, "Man, that
yeah,
sucks." Or we're going to look at the newer ones like, "You have it so easy." What do you mean you don't have to shine your boots every day, or you don't have to iron your uniform?
yeah.
You just
So
put that on and go.
I didn't realize. So on Average Joe's, the last one I watched, he was talking about match drilling, which seems like a normal thing to me. And then later he sort of corrected. He said, I guess it's not match drilling. It's just final drilling. What he meant was final size drilling. So that, I mean, he has made quite a bit of progress on his wings, and it's the first time that that's even come up and been a thing. It's the first time that in that particular kit that he has, that there are holes that are not drilled to final size out of the box.
Yeah, which started on the 14, I think, where they had
Yeah.
funnel sized holes on a
Yeah.
lot of it, and they weren't required to do a lot of that. But again, you go to the RV4, there's no holes in some of the stuff. You have to make the hole line and then, your own rivet spacing and stuff like that. So, whereas we are somewhere in the middle, we have holes. They're not the right size, but they're all in the right spot. We can Cleco things together, and then we have.
We'll just see. We'll just see. So before we abandon all hope, all ye who are lost, my amazingly fast internet hiccuped and I got booted from the room. So we are just hoping that everything before the hiccup was gone. So we were talking about Average Joe and oh, I know. We're talking about the difference and I'm losing your you froze for a second. So where we froze, or where I froze probably, was sort of on the topic of how we don't have to lay out our own rivet lines. It seems like with ours, although we have a ton of final size drilling and there are a handful of parts that we're, I think, lucky enough to have to fabricate. It seems like it would be pretty difficult to make a severely crooked airplane. I hope.
Oh, yeah. Things have lined up fairly well, even with lack of preparation and proper planning on my part. But the pre-punched holes are really nice, and they do seem to align things really well. Like that hole having the wings in the jig and making sure you weren't putting a twist in them and all that. I mean, I did the whole plumb bob thing, and
Yeah.
I don't remember ever really having to tweak on it too much to get it to be perfectly straight. And I got really, really anal about that for a while with those measurements, making sure I wasn't building a twist into the wing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it's going to line up exactly the way it wants to line up because of all those pre-punched holes.
Right. I'll be honest with you. I have a little like wait and see apprehension about the left flap because I deconstructed it and rebuilt it with a new spar, but everything else being the same. So new spar, new root rib. So we'll see. If
I did that with the fuselage bulkhead, that half bulkhead that I did the double row of holes in on accident. So after all the final drilling was done, I replaced that part because I realized I screwed it up.
Yeah.
And I just sent it. I final sized the holes that were pre-punched. I dimpled them as such, and I put that part in, and thankfully, everything lined up. If it is crooked, it doesn't show, so.
Oh, one thing that Marviva or whatever she mentioned in the report that I didn't go into was you really from the beginning decided that you were going to use the Sky Designs aileron bracket kit. So you have the smooth action of the ball bearings in the aileron bracket rather than the brackets clamping the bushing, and the bell crank has to rotate smoothly around the brass bushing, which is how Vans designed it. Somebody even asked me in the beginning, before I even got into it, have you considered doing that? I'm like, oh, I'm going to see if I like it like this. I didn't like it.
Tried it, didn't like it.
It's crude. What I mean by crude is that the aileron bell crank is a powder coated piece of steel that's been welded together. So, God bless you if yours is perfectly straight, if that tube is perfectly straight and doesn't have any overspray from the powder coat. So, after I got everything mounted up, then it was the next project is to take it all apart again and try to get the action of the bell crank better, because the bell crank will rotate around the bushing if you make it. It doesn't just freely move about. Doesn't freely move. So I didn't, before I made a decision, I only fooled around with it for maybe about an hour. Like if I can get in there and pretty simply clean out that tube and and polish up the brass bushing a little bit and get some good action out of it. And it became clear that it was going to take a lot more than I was willing to do. Knowing that the kit that you bought is $190, and if I wanted to invest in a reamer for that tube, I'd spend $90 just on a reamer. So, yeah. So I decided I wasn't going to waste any more time on that. I went ahead and ordered that from Sky Designs. That'll be here in a couple of weeks, I think. I know that there's a little bit of fidgeting that has to do to make it fit correctly, but I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
And mine was, when I put it on, after I did the fidgeting part and I put it on, it was smooth from the beginning, and it's been smooth. So
Yeah.
I have nothing to compare it to. I have no idea if I missed out on anything on that or not, but I always just like the idea of it. To me, the sealed bearing seems like a better way to go than a bushing and the steel plate. Plus, I just wanted to see what they were like as a company, because I knew ultimately I'd be ordering other stuff from them, like,
Yeah.
the landing gear.
I've never really looked around their site before, but like while I'm here, what else do they have? Because to be honest, like their products are really good. Their website's terrible.
Their website is terrible.
Yeah, the good news is, they all of their like intellectual resources go into being good at airplane parts, not being good at e-commerce. So
The owner and chief designer used to work for Vans, and I think he was one of the primary designers back on the RV-8 back in the day. So he definitely knows the airplane and knows things that should or would improve
yeah,
on it. So
So, so I did look and go, oh, well, there's that gear that I want. Now I know how much it costs.
yeah, that was a big one. And I'm still, so I went and I looked through the instructions for it. I'm still not 100% convinced that I want to pull it back off once I do finally get it all drilled and on there.
Uh-huh.
So it might wait a little longer just to where I'm ready to take that thing out. But there's other stuff that I needed to get, which I have now. You have to align that gear when you drill it. So right now there's only one hole that's in the fuselage. So when you put the gear in and you drill for the bracket and all the other holes, you are setting the toe either in or out of both gear relative to the fuselage and relative to each other. So there's different ways to do it, but usually it looks like you clamp some angle iron to the end of the gear legs, and you do some measurements between those, between the gear, to get equal distances. Then you hang plumb bobs from all four corners, and you do a center line off the fuselage and a center line off of those, and measure those lines. And there's a lot of measuring and a lot of fiddling and tweaking that's going to go into it to try and get them, drilled and mounted in exactly the perfect spot, so that you don't have an issue of the plane wanting to, veer off the runway one way or the other. That's not your own doing.
This is exactly the kind of conversation that once again reminds me that guy in Pennsylvania, when I crashed their EAA barbecue, and he's at the grill, and he said to me, yeah, you can build it. It's adult Legos. It's full of crap, man. It's way harder than Legos. Even adult Legos.
It is way harder than Legos.
Yeah.
But it is fun.
But God bless him. He got me to, I immediately went back to my hotel and ordered the empennage kit and started buying a bunch of tools. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And it worked. And the building, we've mentioned it before, the building can be addictive for some people. Kit plane enthusiast.
Dude.
He's on to airplane number 4, 5, 6.
It is funny listening to him talk,
in the day.
like when he talks about it, because his latest video talking about the next one that he's going to build, to hear somebody talk about, like compared to the other airplanes that I've built, he keeps talking about all the airplanes that he's built. He just builds them. It's super cool. He has broken out as an airplane builder. He has broken out of the niche cap. He's got like 26,000 followers of his channel, I want to say. But he's built a bunch of airplanes, and he definitely puts I'll speak for myself, a lot more production value in what he puts out. Not only in his videos, but in his airplanes as well.
Yeah, they're nice. He does a good job.
Yeah,
they're fun to watch, and I'm happy to see he's picked an airplane that I don't consider to be ugly. for his next build. And ironically, it's an airplane that I am seriously considering for my next one, if there is a next one.
Yeah.
So I'll be following along enthusiastically just to see if that's something I really want to get into or not.
Yeah, the plane that he chose to build, which by the way, I wasn't even familiar with Murphy Aircraft until you started talking about it sometime in the last year, but that has given me a definitely like, yeah, okay, I'm re-upping my subscription to Kit Plane Enthusiast channel. Like I'm on board again. That's a project that I'm really looking forward.
Who wouldn't want a float plane?
I know.
Think of the possibilities.
Yeah, yeah. So that's cool. I have a lot of fun watching that. Did you watch the most recent one from Average Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. That wing spar is sexy.
It is. That's an impressive piece of work on that airplane.
Yeah. It is very, the wings are very cool
with all of it.
Yeah, the engineering on those wings is so very different than really any of the other Van's aircraft. So there's so much unique going on there. We were talking about just the packaging of the kit, or the way that the kit is provided. It's awesome that, man, if you watch my videos, there's hardly a video of mine that you don't see me go grab my wing kit inventory so I can look up a bag number to find a something or other piece of hardware. And they've got, it shows up in bins, opened up with all of the hardware, clearly labeled with little QR codes and all kinds of stuff, tons of information. I mean, for a person like me, that would be a huge time saver. Now, for the other people, the other RV15 channel I was talking about, the people who are super organized, they probably don't even notice. Like, they would have done that already. Yeah. They probably...
Sounds to me like you're talking yourself into building an RV15 is what it sounds like to me.
I need to talk myself into making enough money to build an RV15. I think it would be a fun airplane to build.
Oh yeah, it would.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I if I ever finish this one, when I finish this one, I'm going to want to build something else. There are other projects that I want to do. I've got a 93 Sportster in my garage that I'm going to chop the frame and hardtail it and do everything like that.
That one-seater helicopter you got to build. And
oh, the Mosquito, right. But I don't even know if I consider that a build. That's just like a utility, like
a weekend project.
Right. Like, I don't even think like, oh, it would be cool to do. I'm just like, oh, I want to have one.
You just want to be able to take off out of your backyard and fly to the
whole
airport.
thing. Yeah. I just wanted to like shorten the distance between 2 points.
You can either have a hangar home and live with your airplane, or you can take off from your home and go to your airplane.
Okay. You have a really cool car, and it's super fun to drive from your house to my house in your car.
Yes, it is.
And my truck, I like the drive. It's a pretty drive. But if I'm going to bring you a 1-inch diameter piece of Delrin for the lathe that you're going to buy this week, it would be more fun to do it in the helicopter that I took off from my backyard and just tuk over to your place and be there in 10 minutes.
This is true.
Yeah. That's really
very,
why.
very true.
Yeah. I don't want to spend $700 to buy the lathe, but maybe I will spend $70,000 to build a helicopter to go over and borrow your lathe.
There you go. See, that's what you're saving the money for, though. So
yeah, exactly.
It makes sense. You just got to prioritize. Well, according to my clock, we've crossed over an hour.
Oh my goodness!
Your clock probably says like 15 minutes.
It says 13:55, and I'm terrified that this is
that we've lost everything but 13 minutes worth of video.
Yeah, I'm terrified that this will not be episode 17, but it will be 16.75.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, there's still more stuff to talk about. We didn't get through all of it, thankfully. I was going to share a little bit of feedback. I don't have any channel feedback necessarily, but I have channel feedback from YouTube videos that I was going to address, but we'll do it another time. We should create a segment for this stuff. We should create segments for everything, to be honest. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this one up, and so you can get to Nollins in the morning, and I can try to drill perfectly concentric holes in 3/4 inch fake Delrin.
And who knows, you may get a chance to talk about this anyways when I come back, because we might have to re-record the whole thing.
Oh, man. Just stop. Stop it with that. All right, this has been episode 17 of We Are Not Experts in Airplane Building podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Tim.
We'll see you on the next one, God willing.
Maybe sooner than we think.
That concludes this episode of We Are Not Experts. If you've learned something, questioned our life choices, or have strong opinions about lathes and Delrin tolerances, by all means, write in. Subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss the next instalment, and do share this with someone who believes experimental aviation sounds like a sensible hobby. Until next time.